Hello and welcome to the hard sell, where the stick in the swill-bucket rattles back. It's a new year, careful what you pack. I may have made that reference before, and I don't care if I have. And to celebrate, let's dive into a...
Have a break.
Not just any old have a break though, but the most recent break we've ever covered. Yes, we're not even leaving the 21st century for this one, as we go all the way back to 2005 in an episode of The X Factor. Which is still 20 years ago somehow. Well, closer to 19 since the show went out in November, but still. Doesn't it feel like time has sped up but progress has slowed down?
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back.
20 years is the space between William Hartnell and Peter Davison. Felt like a long time when they made the Five Doctors. Now we're looking back 20 years and it all looks much the same. The X Factor eventually succumbed to entropy, but Simon LeCowell has never really gone anywhere. 2 decades might as well be 5 minutes. Or is it just that the memory cheats? Maybe the world of 1963 wasn't that different from the world of 1983 either, at least from the latter's perspective. Maybe it's all just a matter of perception. I used to think that Adverts from 1989 represented some kind of bizarre, unknowable past, even from a mere 4 years distance, purely because I didn't remember any of them. As a consequence, they seemed to come from somewhere else, some lost world far older than just a handful of years. Maybe it's memory itself that has some sort of relativistic effect on time. In this case, I remember both points in time with reasonable clarity, and the distance seems much shorter. Let's see if the Adverts can shed any light on this vaguely existential musing, or whether I'm just talking bollocks. Incidentally, this was a request by Jack Jones, surprisingly sent shortly after he died. Unless there's more than one Jack Jones, but how likely is that? If you've got a subject or a specific commercial break you'd like me to look at, feel free to let me know via the contact page on bobthefish.org.uk. Or better yet, sign up to my Patreon and I'll charge you for the privilege. Just because I make a programme about advertising doesn't mean I'm any good at it myself. So, those adverts.
Gonna find out after the break.
I'm afraid we are going to have to endure some more Christmas, since this is the X Factor and it's the 19th of November. Still, beats facing the real world. Before all that though, there's a sponsorship blipvert, which is for Nokia, and in which...
Oh, yeah. Love your music, love your Nokia.
I'm not entirely certain what's happening, but it probably shouldn't be. And here's some head-spinning historical distance for you. The big impressive thing to get was a flip phone that you could fold up, which is once again the case to this day, only by all accounts it's just irritating when combined with a touchscreen. There's also this. Yep, I'm going to keep showing it to you. It seems to be the optical for this ad break. You know, the subliminal animation to tell you the adverts have started, this sort of thing. Yeah, those are called opticals. And at the time, ITV1's optical looked like this. But in November 2005, they're using this thing. I think it's something to do with I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, a show I have never watched, even when Colin Baker was on it. I assume people in 2005 would somehow know what this is all about from context clues or something. Anyway, the adverts. And the first one is a Christmas-related one, and it's for Argos.
This story could really move you. At Argos, get 20% off all ride-ons, trikes and bikes. Don't shop for it, Argos it.
You're not a verb. I suppose I haven't been giving Argos their due in the Christmas episodes. They are still a prominent hub for strangely detached shopping. Lately they've been using some CGI toys as mascots. A green dinosaur called Trevor and a downright eldritch designer friend doll called Connie. So I don't think we've missed much. Anyway, 20 years ago they didn't have mascots. They were still going all in on the catalogue itself, which was almost but not quite their unique selling point. Of course, it's not a selling point at all 20 years on, when you could just nonchalantly order all the kids' bikes you want on your mobile phone while strolling down the road. But Argos deserve credit for actually moving on and developing past the potential obsolescence of their original model. I mean, they did need to sell themselves a couple of times in the interim, but now they're owned by Sainsbury's, they seem to be on fairly solid ground. Notice the logo. One of the most potent examples of graphical Darwinism. The tendency of corporate logos to evolve towards bland, unmemorable simplicity. Oh well. Next.
I'm guilty. I mistreat my hair.
It's so overstyled and dry, it's just lost its buzz. But now I found new Garnier Fructus Repair and Shine Conditioner.
It's one of the more prominent television personalities at the time. No, not Dan Treacy. It's Cat Deeley, the Brummy Amazon from SMTV Live and Fame Academy and whatever it was she was doing in 2005. Apart from this, of course.
Proven. The new formula enriched with avocado micro-oil strengthens dry hair, and its smoothing action helps create radiant shine.
It's Laboratoire Garnier Paris, with the L'Oreal pioneered and then ubiquitous format of celebrity-fronted monologues that are supposed, I imagine, to be funny, but are edited far too fast for that. It's an effort to even comprehend what's going on, let alone find it amusing. Not Cat Deeley's fault, of course, and she does her best, despite being struck down with a tragic inability to move her lips along with her voice, a condition that afflicts many models in these adverts. At least she's being overdubbed with her own voice. As for the product, the gimmick is that apparently avocado juice makes hair shiny or whatever.
It's proven.
Your mother.
Smoothing action helps create radiant shine.
I call it first aid for hair.
No, you don't.
It gives me the strength to shine.
New Garnier Fructis Repair and Shine, one of the new Fructis hair care solutions.
Whatever your hair type, no probs.
Garnier.
At WH Smith, it's time to get 2 for £26 on chart DVDs.
Christmas again, and hey look, it's Smiths. Still to this day clinging on with their fingertips. And it will be a shame when they inevitably die, because they're the oldest retail company in existence. Or one of them anyway. Dating all the way back to the 18th century. And they're just a useful shop to have around. Stationers, newsagents, bookshop, home entertainment, even a little tray of confectionery. 2005 was happier times, relatively speaking, inasmuch as they could actually afford to advertise. For some reason with the voice of Ruby Wax, who I generally don't mind, but in voiceover can be over-mannered and irritating. Like this.
The always-on-time Polar Express. The watch-it time after time Valiant. The Christmas-time Christmas with the Cranks. And the about-time you had a copy, Cinderella.
It's not a particularly glittering lineup either.
This Christmas time, think WH Smith.
And now, toilet papes. You may recall, if you watched the episode on the subject at the start of the plague, which was nearly 5 years ago, what the fuck is happening? But if you do remember such ancient material, or in fact if you just live in the United Kingdom, you'll be aware that the market leader is Andrax, with its adorable pupper and such. Kleenex are their main rivals, but still mostly associated with nose tissues. Here's a short spot for their arse-related product. They mention arses in the slogan, deal with it, which they were then selling in their own right as double velvet. As you can see, the advert goes all the way to factory floor in order to hammer home how deliciously soft they are. Pleasant enough, especially considering how certain rival products were advertising in this era.
Daddy, I need more toilet paper.
Apologies if you actually like this sort of thing, but really, Don't make piss and shit cute, for Christ's sake.
Double velvet. Love your bum.
And that goes for you as well.
Introducing Lexmark's new great value P4350 all-in-one printer with special photo features.
Someone you know might want a printer for Christmas. And this is probably quite a good one. It's got a screen and everything. Pretty straightforward adverts, as you might expect. The utilitarian nature of the product is being allowed to dictate the style somewhat.
Now it's even easier to see, enhance, scan and print great photos. And now with £30 off, there's never been a better time to buy.
That might be why you don't see many adverts for printers, even back in the day when they mattered more than they do now. I mean, who needs a hard copy of anything? Backwards losers, that's who. Probably. I don't know. Sticks out a bit in this break from the ultra-populous X Factor, though. You wouldn't think a printer would be particularly glam or aspirational to the X Factor audience, but then it's all in how it's sold. Like I said, in the event, it's just a utilitarian here's the product affair. But it didn't actually have to be. Look at the Nokia Blipvert, or think how iPods were being sold at the time. Lexmark could have been a lot sleeker and cooler, even if the product itself isn't. Still, around 9 million people will have seen these, so maybe they didn't need to.
Visit lexmark.co.uk or your nearest store for details.
Steady on, Santa.
This ultimate chocolate gatto is £4, only at Iceland.
Now this is more what you'd expect in this slot. 2005 was around Iceland's golden age of surrealist party food. Prawn and sweet chilli parcels, southern fried popcorn coelacanth and the like. It was also the era when their adverts were fronted by whichever reality celebrity was big and affordable at the time. At this point, it's Kerry Katona, then McFadden, who'd won I'm a Celebrity 2 years earlier and was at more or less the peak of her post-Atomic Kitten career. This would shortly end in tears, with her ultimately becoming a massive punchline for an entire nation. Obviously she didn't help herself. Who keeps cocaine in the bathroom? But a bigger question, if you ask me, is who puts a damn hidden camera in a woman's bathroom, recording 24/7, just in case she keeps cocaine in there? And the biggest question of all, who decided and how did we apparently become convinced that the former is less acceptable behaviour than the latter? Anyway, here she is 20 years ago when she more or less still looked like herself. Enjoy.
Your guests will love it.
It's the reindeer I feel sorry for.
Craig David. The Story Goes, the new album.
It's Craig David, briefly one of the biggest names in UK music around the turn of the century. Craig David, coming towards the end of his relevance by 2005 though.
12 brilliant songs from a great British singer-songwriter, including the new single, Don't Love You No More.
Although this album did good numbers, and so did its first couple of singles. A couple of years later, the follow-up barely bothered the top 20, and all bets were off, no matter how many times per song he repeated his name. It's Craig David. It's also Tesco, because they sell music now, and they're doing a Woolworths in time for Christmas.
Craig David, The Story Goes, out now.
Craig David.
This year I bought all these presents on eBay.
Good for you. Who are you?
Santa's going to need a lorry.
Ah.
My grandson's going to love this new karaoke machine. I prefer wrapping.
Well.
And decorations.
Even the stockings for putting under Dad's kilt.
What?
Exactly the one he wanted.
Just another Christmas on Jump Cut Street, I guess. Seems that they could have used the technique in a more interesting way than just having people finish random sentences. There was a joke at the end there, to be fair, but too little too late. But there you are. eBay. Buy stuff from them. It's 2005, so it's mostly safe by now. Price.
Inside Sunday's News of the World.
Oh look, it's the newspaper who installed that bathroom cam. I wonder what they did with all the footage they must have collected of Kerry and her family nonchalantly taking a shit. There's a market for it, there's a market for everything. On a more pleasant note, they're giving away arguably the best filmed version of A Christmas Carol, at least without Muppets in it, which is to say the 1951 Scrooge with Alastair Sim.
Don't miss your free Scrooge DVD, the classic Christmas movie.
Still not a good enough reason to buy one, even in defiance of the God-voiced Patrick Allen, especially as the film will probably be on TV during the season. Usually is. It's on Channel 5 last year. Besides, the damn paper's dead.
The Inside Sunday's News of the World.
Brunettes.
Greetings to the new brunette.
Don't lose radiance in between colourings. New L'Oreal Elvive Colour Refresh Masks. Now, our first mask range with colour pigments to really refresh your colour with colour.
Another one too straightforward to say much about, really. It's basically the same format as the Cat Deely one at the start for Garnier, except that this is L'Oreal, and the models aren't celebrities, so everything's delivered in voiceover instead.
Your hair is nourished, your colour has a new lease of life.
And this one's about nourishing colour pigment midichlorians or some damn thing. I don't know, whatever it is, it's almost certainly bollocks.
For brunettes, blondes and reds, new Elvive Colour Refresh from L'Oreal Paris.
He who boils only what he needs, thus saving energy, is no muck.
Finally, some energy-saving advice from Dave Angel, Eco Warrior. You know, from the Fast Show with the Mike Oldfield associate, you remember it. Admittedly without the hat and glasses, which just makes him Simon Day, really, but basically still in character.
Follow him. Positive energy from Power Gym.
If you watch my episode on the ITV weather sponsors, you might remember this campaign. Energy generating companies like Powergen were starting to turn to this kind of greenwashing at this time, because we were starting to get a little bit nervous about the environment again, having basically wasted the previous 20-odd years. Of course, the grand result of all this greenwashing was merely that we wasted the next 20 marginally less. But that's not Dave Angel's fault. Tellingly enough, he reappeared a couple of years ago doing more or less the same thing, this time for Utilita Energy.
Hey, how you doing? Dave Angel, Eco Warrior. Now everyone likes to be comfortable in their home. My Shirley likes their heating at 30 degrees. I swear she's cold-blooded. For me, 20 is plenty. But even turning down the thermostat 1 degree can save you a lot of cashola. And imagine if everyone in the country done it. Mother Nature would be eternally grateful. And she's the most beautiful lady in the world.
Great Britain, save like Dave.
You could probably make a video essay about the character and the almost non-existence of the line between joke and reality in his case. But I'm not going to. Oh, and there's that thing again. And the Nokia Blipford, rather disappointingly the exact same thing as on the other side of the break.
Oh, yeah. Love your music, love your Nokia.
And then we're back to find out the latest from the world's most glittering cattle market. In its second series, The X Factor was already the biggest show on commercial television, so this was the most prime advertising space around at that time. And you could tell. It was mostly big retail companies, yes, even W.H. Smith counted in those days, trying to get you to spend your money there rather than elsewhere. Also a couple of feminine hair products under the not unreasonable assumption that a lot of women in their 20s and 30s watch The X Factor. Oh, and the news of the world, under the even more reasonable assumption that a lot of proles watched it too. It was maybe slightly surprising to see Lexmark in there. Not so much the toilet papes though. Everyone, even people who never used a printer in their entire lives, has an arse. And that is probably the last remaining universal truth worth clinging to. You just sat through a Bob the Fish production. Nice! If you haven't already, you absolutely must check out bobthefish.org.uk. Literally hundreds more videos not unlike that one, adding up to days worth of entertainment and all absolutely free. But if you're not a cold-hearted skinflint, you can always support us on Patreon. For as little as anything at all, you can make programmes like the one you just watched possible in the first place, and become eligible for bonus material such as glimpses of the book I'm writing about the BBC, monthly riffings on random commercial breaks, the complete archives of the angry political satire magazine Two Sons, and even the odd very occasional bonus video essay unavailable anywhere else. If nothing else, you should prevent me from starving and or freezing to death in the foreseeable future, so that'll be nice. No pressure or anything. bobthefish.org.uk. You make it what it is.